Hi, everybody. The 900 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room in El Paso, Texas, right there at Fort Bliss, on Fort Bliss. He was taken out of his room forcibly and taken to a soundproof room, and he lost his life. He lost his life. He fought like hell, but he lost his life. He bashed in This is what we hear. He bashed in someone's mouth that needed dental work, emergency dental work. Um, but he lost his life, and his body was stolen and dismembered and trafficked to Mexico. And so this is a big case. And why would they do that to him? Why would they go to that extreme violence? Against Richard? He was a distinguished honor graduate. His platoon leader, his first sergeant said if you'd ask Halliday to do anything, he would do it without complaint. That's a quote. Um, so he was a distinguished honor graduate, number one in his class at basic training. Richard wanted to be a CID agent. He was a sparkling clean record. He clipped out of six college credits of math when he was 15 and six more of German at the age of 15. He got 12 credit hours that day when he took his college math and German clip tests. 12 credit hours. It was just amazing. And we're very, very proud of him. So he was an inspiring and aspiring young man and wanted to be somebody. And he got to Fort Bliss and he saw something, and he identified the crime, and he documented the crime, and he reported the crime. He became a whistleblower, and it was connected to the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, it was connected to the Walmart mass shooting. Yes, a lot of criminal trafficking. Yes, it was about the child's sexual exploitation. Absolutely. But it was about this same group that does this same kind of crime, connected to the Walmart mass shooting. Richard's case is very intertwined in the Walmart mass shooting of 2019, which was orchestrated. We have that now. The evidence overwhelmingly confirms that. Multiple shooters, not a lone shooter. Patrick Crucius, um, the patsy, who admitted to shooting one or two. Part of this group, absolutely part of this group. And but there are multiple shooters, and so there are some at large. There are some at large, because don't forget that there were uh, 23 that lost their lives and 23 more that were injured. And it was very, very bloody, and it was absolutely a way to shock the public and to fabricate a false narrative around this, and they used Patrick Crucius, which that's why they had to seal the case. That's why they had to gag order for so long the case, because the truth was so evident with his um, federal courthouse family, the Mayellas, his brother being married to the Mayella daughter, and the brother, Michael Mayella, being, cybersecurity for Walmart, also working under Jaime Esparza in the DA's office, and under Connell Witten in the FBI office. There's even more there's even more there. Like I said, there's a mountain of evidence that confirms this was orchestrated, that the narrative was fabricated as a fake white supremacist to plaster all over President Trump, who was a candidate at the time, uh, to uh, to smear him, to keep him from becoming president, to keep him from doing what he's doing right now. And you can look at this marvelous day, this incredible day. Make sure I'm on. Make sure that I'm on. It's just been such a very amazing day. So let's see if I'm live. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on so late. Um, and you can look at this really incredible day, a day of peace. And of course, Columbus Day, happy Columbus Day. Um, and others want to do the Indigenous Day, fine, do that. But uh, to recognize Christopher Columbus and his achievements is also necessary, absolutely necessary. You can read Washington Irving's 4 volumes on Christopher Columbus, okay, that were just amazing, of his character and what he all did. Um, so happy Columbus Day. Absolutely. So glad to have that day back. And I know Italians are very, very proud to have that day back. So we're very grateful to President Trump for that. Yes, I have some Italian family. Um, Absolutely. So, you know, just love to have this inclusion in the important days um, of discovery, the bravery, um, what he all faced. It is an inspiration to all of us. Um, so we're very glad and very grateful for President Trump to have that back. Um, uh, Also, I can look at what happened, the peace in the Middle East, Israel, Gaza. It's absolutely, totally scorched earth in Gaza, and a lot of hope there to rebuild now with all the money. It makes you cry to see that. At least it does for me to see the scorched earth. I was looking at some pictures earlier, and because there's some people that have so much hate, they cannot celebrate a day of peace, of a day of change to go forward, to rebuild. And I see, eh, you know, people just want their way, just their way. Um, and This is a really great day to have this peace and to have a new direction in the whole Middle East. And I think there's a lot of work in front, and that's the whole point, is people are not just saying, okay, it's over with, it's done with, we don't have to worry about it anymore. That's not what they're saying. They're saying we have to go a different direction, and that direction is of peace instead of the hate and death and everything that was going on. So, and Israel is absolutely a different place, right? It's a unique place. It's an important place to the major religions in the world. And so you have to absolutely consider that when you're doing deals like this. And so Yeah, we'll see what comes out of it, but it's absolutely amazing what President Trump has accomplished, um, just to change the direction, and the direction was from destruction. So that was a welcome change, and to get the hostages back, even those that the bodies of hostages back, that I believe that's still being worked on. Some are coming out, and yeah, that's we feel the same way. We want our son's body. We want our son's remains. And that leads to the other big story, a lot of big stories today. I just posted up something I posted up in October of 2024. Um, just to show you that we've been working behind the scenes relentlessly, sending out letters. And, uh, when the book comes out, you'll absolutely get the full story of all the letters, and the faith that goes along, because you might not get your way. You might send out a letter and you don't get your way most of the time, right? You don't, because you have to absolutely drive um, the government. They're compromised. They're so compromised. You have to drive them to get something done. And this was what happened in the Christina Sanchez situation. She's compromised. She's up to no good. Okay, it wasn't because she wanted to send us that letter, referring our El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court findings and complaint to her, to the AG Ken Paxton. She didn't want to do that. Okay, she didn't want to. She was driven to do that. And that took a lot. That took a lot. It's not like you go, oh, here it is. Here's the findings. And she goes, oh, I can't believe that we overlooked that. Oh my goodness, I'm right on it. That's not how they respond. I mean, it would be nice for them to respond that way, but no, no, they don't respond that way. And she was pretty decent, respectful, but pretty respectful. We've had a lot that weren't too respectful, and you're going like, wait a minute, um, our son is a soldier, and he's missing, or he's dead, or he's CONUS Dust One, or he's in the line of duty now. He's been honored by the president now. What's going on here? It's when you see the posts about, like this peace deal in Israel, that is so amazing, and going to Egypt was so amazing, and I could talk about that for so long. And people will post the rudest, unfeeling, hateful, um, even threatening posts. Um, they have no concept. I don't. They have no. I I don't humanity. They have no humanity. I don't. It's just amazing to see. They have no empathy. They have no class. They have, and so many of our letters, you know, uh, absolutely, we've seen a lot of, very, well, you can only explain it by this, that they are absolutely in on it. If they get angry because you ask questions about your whistleblower son that is murdered, and they get all upset, it's like, okay, what's going on here? There should be some decency there and some answers. So, Uh, and what am I saying? There's a real problem. There's a real compromised, um, huge compromise section in our government, mutinous also, and we have had to relentlessly pursue the truth and drive them to give it to us. And this letter that Christina Sanchez wrote um, gave a lot of truth. And that truth was that they had conflicts of interest. They had conflicts of interest that kept them from addressing the illegal um, um, appointments, the illegal um, installation of individuals to the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court without being elected because the that court in 2015, and this was just like a total blessing from God, okay, to highlight this for us. In 2015, that court was given full um, jurisdiction over the county. Now that changed everything. That means that there was no appointments. That court, if you wanted to be a judge on that court, you must be elected. And that is the law in the Texas Constitution. And so why was that important to us? Because Penny Hamilton, um, by her actions, confirmed that she was up to no good in the Walmart mass shooting case and in our son's case, and that intertwined. And here she was, an unelected judge, sitting on this bench with no authority at all, sealing the Walmart mass shooting case, leaking information that allowed the criminals to tamper with our son's Interpol profile. And she has done a lot of other things. And she's illegally collecting retirement pay on her illegal position. Um, so this is very, very personal to us because she's obstructing, or she's tampering with the cases. She's obstructing justice. She's botching cases. She is interfering. She went over and then worked with Bill Hicks, who was also a usurper and with reports of being a usurper. And she knew that she had a complaint that was legitimate complaint. So did Sylvia Brun de Firth of because she sits on the board of directors of El Paso Community Foundation and also is a commissioner on the state commission on judicial conduct. And she was uh, the city attorney when Penny Hamilton was appointed illegally to the El Paso the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court. And so, these two know each other well. They know that there were complaints, legitimate, with hard evidence complaints out there. Um, and now you have Christina Sanchez confirming that they had conflicts of interest and that she was driven to refer the complaint against the magistrate court to the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton. So this is, she knew this is a this isn't a denial of our complaint. This is an admission. This is a damning admission from the inside, being the county attorney. So this was a very, very big deal. And now, to move forward a little bit, because Penny Hamilton was botching the Walmart mass shooting case. She's the one. I mean, she has so much. She's such a big part of the Walmart mass shooting case. And and she illegally, right? Because she had no right to be any part of it because she wasn't elected. And this was why we wanted the seal to be off. We wanted the gag order to be off. We wanted to get answers, because the same people that orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting was the same people involved in or the suspects in the murder of our son. And so this is why this was so important. Um, and so now you have some other things going on, that would put an investigation spotlight on Penny Hamilton, on Sylvia Brundeferth, and that is the bail bonds. The bail bonds, the cashless bail bonds that President Trump was focused on. The cashless bail bonds that allow criminals to stay out in the community and repeat crimes over and over and over again. And who said that? Who said that? A judge there in El Paso, um, for Horizon. He was a Horizon judge. And, when you're a municipal judge, it is normal for you also to have your own law practice. So when you read the news, they even say, oh, well, he was doing it as a judge. He can be a judge and he can be a lawyer in his law practice. And that is normal. That is a normal practice for a municipal judge. And they're trying to twist it around a bit. And they also called Penny Hamilton Jenny Hamilton, which I think is um, obfuscation. Maybe it's a mistake, but I think it's really stinky. I think something doesn't smell right here when they call Penny Hamilton Jenny Hamilton. And the article that was used to smear Judge Mario Gonzalez. Judge Mario Gonzalez, just was smeared in the news for being sanctioned by the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Really, wow. What did he do? Because we have, for one, we've reported Sam Madrano, right? Rightfully so. Sam Madrano, who lets the worst type of crimes against children by William Molinar, just walk free, right? Just walk free. And, and not even, when he's done with his whatever little bit he has to do, he won't even have a record on it. He can clean the record off. I mean, and he's a repeat offender, William Molinar. So, and then Sam Madrano, of course, with his seals and deals, and, I can go into all of his violations, his violations of judicial conduct, that we have reported. Okay, we have reported him, and they're, who are they looking into? They're looking into Judge Mario Gonzalez to, admonish or sanction. And what about San Medrano, right? I mean, it's just, and there's others too. But so, you're like, okay, so what did he do? So, so you ring around and you find out and you read and you're like, wait a minute, this, we know a lot about what's going on here because we know a lot about Penny Hamilton and we know a lot about Sylvia Brune de Firth, and we need to let the people know about what's going on here. And this was absolutely a targeting to silence Judge Mario Gonzalez. And I'll tell you why. Because President Trump uh, gave the heads up that he was going to ban the cashless bail bond. And that bail bond, the cashless bail bond, is manipulated and misused and makes a lot of compromised officials a lot of money. It makes them a lot of money and it helps them do their criminal activity with impunity. That's what it does because it helps their um, soldiers, whatever their little workers or little to do these criminal activities and then get away with it, right? And then get away with it. That's what it does. There and of course I'm just simplifying all of it, and of course I'm not a lawyer, of course I'm not a judge. I'm just telling you that it's stinky. It's very stinky, and President Trump had absolutely um, a great idea to ban those cashless bail bonds to protect the public, and he gave a heads up, and they panicked. Um, so, they just can't stand anything President Trump does. So they want to legally, and why do we know this? Because we've been dealing with this for 5 years. This is like a playbook. They want to go after President Trump or whoever, but in this case, it's President Trump. Legally, they want to contest his executive order, his ban on the cashless bail bonds. And in order to do that, any whistleblower, any witness needs to be discredited. And that's where Mario Gonzalez comes in, because in 2020 and 2022 and and more, he talked about his concerns with those bail bonds, that they were unsafe, that they were making El Paso unsafe. He was very concerned about how they were affecting the community, and that's all he said. He gave his talk, he gave his opinion. He was interviewed, and he talked about that. Absolutely a prophet, right? A hero on this whole thing. And they had to take that away. They had to take that away from him. This is our opinion. They had to absolutely discredit him so that that could not be used to corroborate President Trump's executive order when it comes to the banning of cashless bail bonds. So this was a preemptive strike. They had to do it before he signed the EO. So Penny Hamilton made her complaint. She made a complaint to the state commission on judicial conduct. I want to know how fast, when exactly did she make that complaint? Okay, because this is stuff that happened years and years ago. And she made this complaint, and on the 6th and 7th of August 2025, they met in order to um, uh, discuss the case, and then they admonished about 10 days or, a week before President Trump signed the EU, they put out the sanction, and they leaked the sanction to the media. And people really have to understand this, that Sylvia Brun de Firth has a really incredible influence over the media, over El Paso Matters, over El Diario, um, and also anybody else in the local area because of her connection with the El Paso Community Foundation, uh, being with the Mormon faction, Woody Hunt, who's cartel tied, but all of his control, he's a power broker in El Paso, and so her influence over any KTSM or any media in El Paso is is a lot. It's if it's Spanish speaking, if it's English speaking, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of influence there. And so the leak to the media very quick, just corroborates that this was a preemptive strike against a witness, a whistleblower in the case to in their and I hope that we can stop this. I hope this report stops what they're trying to organize, and that is to sue President Trump, and to reverse the ban on the cashless bail bond. So this is very political. It's a political hit um, to the detriment of the safety of the people there in El Paso, and but to the benefit of the cartel tied criminal traffickers and criminal cabal there that profit off of the cashless bail bond. Um, Absolutely. So I hope that makes sense. And uh, when you have Sylvia Brun de Firth being the city attorney, being um, on the board of directors of El Paso Community Foundation, being and she had to resign. She got a golden parachute resignation for her unethical behavior as a city attorney. Um, and with her husband and with her sister, and you know g- always about money, always about money. There's nothing else for them. They will just sell out their soul, do whatever, whatever it takes. Um, they have no ethics, no morality. And so, she clearly was paid off handsomely, and she then sits on the board of directors for the El Paso Community Foundation, as well as being a commissioner on the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Um, and having this connection with the media, okay, having the family connection with the media, big media, Diario, and then of course with El Paso Matters and all the influence that entails, and the influence from being connected to Woody Hunt. Um, so that is huge. And of course, with Penny Hamilton and that. This was absolute, and so I put out, this really upset me, um, uh, you know, understanding all of this, that I put out, we need to demand that they rescind the admonishment order from the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. We need to absolutely demand that. We need to push them to do that. Um, for Mario Gonzalez. Do I know Mario Gonzalez? I do not know him. I don't even know if he's a good judge or not a good judge or anything like that. I just know that he was a prophet on this bail bonds, that he had to, that was part of his job, and he was really concerned about what that was doing to allowing the criminals to flourish and commit more crimes against the people of El Paso. So that's deserving right there of support, and knowing that he was not even told about the complaints. Nothing was disclosed to him about Penny Hamilton. She should never have been allowed to make a complaint. Nothing was disclosed about Sylvia Brun de Firth, who sat on the commission against him, which she should have recused herself because of the conflicts of interest. No one told him about the letter by Christina Sanchez, referring this to Attorney General Ken Paxton. He wasn't. This is just like I said, this was just a hit job against him. This was a preemptive strike, and it was not even really about him. It was that he was a witness. And this is where it gets very dangerous, because Richard was a witness too. Mario is a whistleblower, right? He was kind of sort of a whistleblower. Richard is a whistleblower. And this group that did this to him have a history of violence, of facilitating violence. They are absolutely responsible for what happened to Richard. The the brutality of it all, the brutality of the whole thing. And this is why it's so important to tell them they better rescind this, and they better apologize, and there needs to be accountability for what they did, because if there's a look at what they did to Charlie Kirk. Look at what they did when no one when they're allowed to act like this with impunity, that they're allowed to act like this, to weaponize our agencies, to compromise our agencies, and to act so unethical. They become violent, and they have a history of becoming violent. And so, for the safety, we're very concerned for the safety of Mario Gonzalez, because they will do anything for this open border. They will do anything for the money. They will do anything. Look at hundreds of thousands of children were trafficked. Um, Richard lost his life. The whole Walmart mass shooting, and that was so bloody. And it goes on and on and on. And we're not even talking about the theft of all the taxpayers' money and all of this. This is really, a real a security risk, a real security risk for our judges, and to admonish him without even disclosing everything. And yeah, it's just what they did. It's just so rotten. It's just rotten to a core, and so we need to call it out. So, okay, let me read some of the comments. Why don't you just go through the proper channels? What is stopping you? I apologize for interrupting, but are you going to answer questions or just speak? She first gives her report, and then she will go to the comments. Laura, this is not a report. Well, you're a Melendez, so who are you related to? That's my question. Matt Melendez, not that I'm picking on you, but the Melendezes and Richard's case have not been too good. Okay, they've been pretty bad, pretty up to no good. And by your number one, the first thing that you should say is condolences for your son. That's the first thing. And we've been doing this for 5 years, over 5 years, 5.5 years, right? And we know about Judge Samaniego. We know that he went and had fine dining with the flesh peddler. That's not my name for Raphael Arliano Quran. That's not my name. That's the victim. And maybe I should join those victim families. Those are all the victims' families in Juarez calling him the flesh peddler. What he has done. We're talking about huge crime here, absolutely huge crime. And I've answered so many questions, and you can go through all of the posts. We've been so transparent and have answered so many questions, and we have been retaliated against. But we still keep on going because, we just say, "Get behind me, Satan." We're going to get the answers to what happened to our son, and we want his remains, and we want accountability for this. Um, and we had no idea that we would come across that the entire El Paso criminal law magistrate court was acting unconstitutionally, and that they had cover by the judicial system there. We have written every judge, I think every judge that we could find an email for, which is a lot of them. And we have written all the law schools. We have written AG Ken Paxton. You see that even we wrote Christina Sanchez, and she even referred it to AG Ken Paxton. So, it takes 3,000 letters. Someone told me recently, your book should be called 3,000 letters. It takes 3,000 letters. Um, so yeah, and we pay our taxes. We pay our taxes, and these agencies are compromised. We have Connell Witten in the FBI office there in El Paso, who is totally compromised. He's from this big family in Chihuahua, Mexico, the Mormons that settled there because they're polygamists and became very wealthy and established and everything like that. And now he's they're dual citizens, and they come over and they go into the FBI, compromise the FBI office with leaks, with protection of the cartel criminals, hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked, bodies are being peddled. Yeah, flesh is being peddled. Drugs are coming through. Our military is being compromised, and he's allowing County Judge Ricardo Samaniego, who it was reported that he brought his 20-year-old girlfriend with him. I think 20 years old, but about 20 years old. He's no spring chicken, right? Which just shows you the mentality here. And he's meeting with the flesh peddler himself that has multiple homes, one home being right next to Beto O'Rourke, and all these businesses, multiple businesses in El Paso. His brother is in prison, and he really seems to be, I mean, I can almost say it's confirmed, but I'm going to say seems to be hiding out as a fugitive in the United States from the Mexican authorities for what he has done with, our numbers are over 400 corpses that he was recycling for profit, and deceiving the families. And and a lot of those are victims from the cartel criminal activities that are connected to this Mormon faction that are up to no good, and connected to Woody Hunt, who, then it directly links back to Sylvia Brune de Firth and Penny Hamilton and Judge Samaniago, and then and the taxes go up real high because they that's what they do. That's what they do. They are absolute criminals, and yeah, and they're going to take whatever they can from you. So so proper channels. Okay, so let's go back to Matt Melendez. Why don't you just go through proper channels? We're going through proper channels. How do you think that we're in communication with the White House? How do you think that we um you know uh, receive the in the line of duty and the honor that President Trump bestowed on Richard? How do you think that the media in Mexico was forced, driven to cover the Plenitude crematorium scandal? What about the oil siphoning scandal? What about the drone scandal? What about the rare earth minerals scandal? What about connected to the CCP? What about the DPS channel that we went through that revealed Bro Pecan Patrick Brookshire's ugly head um, and his connection to the strip club Dreams Cabaret, where the prime suspect in the murder of our son was receiving her mail. And this is a trooper. This is a trooper who's connected to the ownership of the Dreams Cabaret, where the prime suspect in the murder of our son was getting her mail. And of course, her very intimate relation CID Tavita Nusa and his brother Solomone Nusa, who's uh, mortuary operations, right? Mortuary operations officer. So you got CID compromised, mortuary operations compromised, and by people that are connected to Dreams Cabaret that are in the uh, Department of Public Safety, and headed by a director, Sanchez, another Sanchez, that's doing frisky business with a honeypot that has a whole fleet of vehicles. Uh, Half of them are with veterans, disabled veterans license plates. And, we're talking about $300 cars. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. It is just a disaster of compromise and criminality, and we're getting to the bottom of it, going through the right channels with like Cash Patel, with like Dan Bongino. um we even went to DES Thomas Kane, who then is part of the Mormon faction, who breached all of the security because he was in charge of all the security for young girls to come in, and even said that our son's remains were a good meal for the coyotes. And here he is, DES, and we discovered all of his conflicts of interest with Park University, with this group um, that are up to no good, with the hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked through Fort Bliss. And here he is, Thomas Kane, and we drove him to write a letter, and we posted that up too. So all of this is through the right channels, through the right channels. And but that's this is a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. And never forget that, because the right channels are of the people, for the people, and by the people. And we need to be really vicious in demanding our rights, demanding justice, demanding the right way, the peaceful way. I love the way President Trump says that. You have to give it your all to demand this, because these evil people are vicious in a violent way, in a very violent and thieving and in a deceptive way. And so, yeah. So, and I'm sorry if Matt Melendez is a good guy that just has a bad last name for our case. For our case, I'm sure, if I wasn't 5 years with this case, um, knowing the Melendez connection with the Walmart mass shooting, with our son's case, I wouldn't be suspicious of a Melendez, but I am suspicious of a Melendez that's interested in our son's case. Um, and sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. Because you have David Johnson, who was killed in the Walmart mass shooting, being connected to the Mendez, right? So, and also to the same street that Ernest Christopher Grant lived on, right? Ernest Christopher Grant, who has now been arrested. He's been arrested. Hallelujah. So, because he was absolutely the facilitator of this fabricated false narrative against President Trump, that was trying to affect the election. Not trying to, did do harm in the election. So, and Laura, do not apologize for your words to him. That it was just so rude. It was just so rude of him. He should have come. Anyone that comes on and doesn't say, condolences for your son, or let me give you some prayers. Let me try to understand what you're saying. I'm so sorry. Um, we are a Gold Star family that requires respect, just like President Trump, that requires respect because he's the president. And if we don't give respect to those certain designations and positions, then we won't have a country. We won't have a country. We won't have civilization. Mothers deserve respect. Fathers deserve respect. Teachers deserve respect. And you can say, oh, but there's a bad teacher or a bad mother or a bad father or whatever. Right? And they need to be reported, and they need to be held accountable for when they do their violations. But you still call a judge honorable judge. You still have to give those honorifics, you call them honorifics, um, to have a civilization, right? To have a civilization, to have, otherwise, it's just anarchy and chaos, and so many people will get hurt, so many people, and it'll be the children and the women that really get hurt. And so, yeah, so this is a bigger picture for the greater good that we keep calm, that we show respect, that we demand respect for those designations and positions. And for our son's case, absolutely, our son deserves respect. He deserves um, the respect of the entire nation. And so we will demand it for him in his absence. Um, so that until we get his remains, until we can have a proper funeral, um, and we have been fighting for that for a long time. So I don't know if I got through all of the points. The crematorium, Samanyago, um, the court leak of Penny Hamilton. Absolutely, I got through that. Um, the failure to act. I don't know if I mentioned this, but those judges all knew, and I think I did, all knew about the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, and they didn't do anything. Not that we know of. Um, so there is a national security breach in El Paso. It is really the epicenter of it, and that's why it makes this case so big. It's so big, y'all. I just can't even tell you how big it is. And we are absolutely doing everything behind the scenes to identify everything about it, document it, and file it with the proper channels. But we come on every day on here to the people, by the people, for the people, uh, to go through the right channels for you to share, share, to drive them to do the right thing. And in today's broadcast, it really is to rescind this admonishment of Judge Mario Gonzalez. It really is really badly done by the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. So, and they're run by our money. Okay, that's taxpayers' money. And if they are going to be compromised, then why do we need them? Let's save ourselves some money and turn off the spigot. Um, you know, uh, uh, so the government's shut down right now. Let's turn off the spigot for the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. If they're not going to do the right thing, they're supposed to be the oversight of the judges, and now they're controlling, getting rid of good judges and letting judges like Sam Madrano stay on the bench. And this is a big problem. Not with our taxpayer dime, right? That's what we should say. Not with our taxpayer dime. Yeah, the spigot needs to be turned off. Their power needs to be turned off. So, thank you. Thank you so much. Exactly. It doesn't take a lot to be polite and to give respect, So, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. That is really, really important. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you so much. Bye bye.